swear to God in my heart, I believe until then, it represents a generational subsidy where this is your one chance to add silver to your portfolio at ridiculously low prices, where everything that you and I look at would tell you that, hey, it's undervalued and should be a whole hell of a lot higher.
Andy Schectman delves into the precarious state of the U.S. economy and the potential catalysts for a major shift in the market. He hints at a looming crisis triggered by the rapid acceleration of debt, the BRICS nations' strategic moves away from the dollar, and the fragility of the global financial system. Schectman envisions a scenario where the abandonment of dollars and treasuries leads to a sudden collapse, prompting a rush towards gold and silver as safe haven assets. He emphasizes the unique opportunity to acquire precious metals at historically low prices, suggesting a potential generational subsidy. Schectman's narrative serves as a captivating exploration of the interconnected dynamics shaping the future of the financial landscape. Let's dive into the video to hear his full thesis.
I wouldn't buy a treasury of greater than 6 months to save my life in terms of duration. The U.S. government has printed $500 billion in the month of October. It took us almost 200 years to print the first $500 billion. We did it in the span of 4 weeks. The speed at which the debt is accelerating and the ramifications that will ultimately have, in particular with the topic of du jour for me being the BRICS nations and how they are methodically de-dollarizing, there will come a moment when dollars and treasuries are forsaken, and you see this religious moment for most of the people in the country who realize that in that moment, everything that makes us feel wealthy, stocks, bonds, real estate, are all inversely correlated to a spike in interest rates. Well, if the world dumps dollars, we're done taking dollars for oil. We don't align with you ideologically. The fact that you're going green, you signed an executive order. Biden did so as one of the first things in office. And look, Saudi Arabia, well, we know you've been protecting us for the last 50 years, and we appreciate that. That's why we denominated oil in dollars all these years. But we've signed up with the BRICS, with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is the largest financial and military organization on the planet. We've joined the BRICS New Development Bank. We've told folks in Davos we're going to take other currencies for oil. We're already doing that with China and other countries. Thanks for the memories, but we're going to take other currencies for oil. And bang, just like that, every country on the planet dumps dollars. And now you have a villain to point to, is those bastards, Xi Jinping and Putin and OPEC. How could they do it to us? That's when the dollar collapses. That's when interest rates spike to the moon to compensate for that inflation. And that's when you see that Klaus Schwab reset moment. That's when people run to buy gold and silver, because where else do you put your money right now other than super short-term treasuries where you can sleep well at night? And I think that's the realization that a lot of us in this community have already made, but most people wouldn't know a gold and silver coin if it fell on their foot until there's an event that wakes them up. And that event, perhaps that reset, well, that's blamed then on Xi Jinping and Putin and OPEC, not on the Federal Reserve for their brain-dead monetary policy or the government for their brain-dead fiscal policy. And that's when people scurry to get the last few ounces that haven't been sold. That's how fast it changes. I see something like that happening. How else do you get people to take a CBDC, which again was written into law? BIS said everyone has to have one. And if the things that we are told are true about the shortages at the industrial level, at the COMEX level, at the LBMA level, well, then it's a very, very quick process of everything disappearing and premiums going to the moon. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. But in my mind's eye, I see that's exactly how I think it will happen. And until then, it's a hell of a subsidy. You're getting stuff cheap, and as cheap as I've seen it in 4 years. So if you believe even 5% of what I'm saying, one last point, you know, when you talk about the U.S. weaponizing the dollar and telling Saudi Arabia we're going green, by weaponizing the dollar, half of the world is now afraid of the U.S. and is coalescing with these BRICS countries. 27 more countries have signed up formally for the BRICS. 22 have informally expressed interest on top of the 11 right now. And, you know, this is a situation where you can't make it up. If you wanted to lose the world reserve status, you weaponize the dollar and you tell Saudi Arabia, the linchpin of the hegemony, hey, we're going green. Again, here's your villain, Xi Jinping, Putin, and OPEC. How could they do this to us? They dumped the dollar. They're no longer taking it for oil. And when that happens and the dollar collapses and it hits our fragile, fractured, way over leveraged, undercapitalized banking system, poof, there's your great reset. But have no fear, because Lael Brainerd is here with their CBDC. Sign on the dotted line, we make you whole. Now, this is my thought process. And somewhere along the lines in this, there will be an awakening, a mainstream awakening to, my God, I got to get some gold and silver in my hand. And that's how fast it changes. It's like there's no middle ground. It's either panic or complete and total silence. And somewhere in between is when we see, I think, things really, really change in this industry.
In this next discussion, Andy Schectman sheds light on the enduring value of silver and gold, emphasizing their historical significance as wealth. He challenges the conventional view of acquiring precious metals solely for wealth accumulation, presenting them as assets that have withstood the test of time for over 5,000 years. Schectman delves into the critical role of silver in industrial applications and the concerning reliance on imported silver by the United States. He raises thought-provoking questions about the apparent contradictions in the actions of major banks, such as J.P. Morgan, suggesting a potential hidden agenda. Throughout the discussion, Schectman hints at a looming financial reset triggered by global shifts away from the dollar, urging us to consider precious metals as a unique opportunity.
I swear to God in my heart, I believe until then, it represents a generational subsidy where this is your one chance to add silver to your portfolio at ridiculously low prices, where everything that you and I look at would tell you that, hey, it's undervalued and should be a whole hell of a lot higher. Yeah, and I've always said silver is wealth. You don't buy it to get wealthy. Sure, if you own enough of it, maybe you'll be wealthy, but you don't buy it to get wealthy. You look at it as an asset that has outlived everything the world's thrown at it for 5,000 years and is still considered to be wealth. And say, obviously the same thing is true on gold. And right now, the United States, in terms of silver and its industrial applications, its reliance on imported silver is at 79% import reliant. And so, you're talking about the need for all of these industrial applications where you need silver, and we seem to be importing most of it. This is a deal where, if the price were allowed to be set free, certainly when you talk about the military industrial complex and all the weaponry that they're building, getting silver would be a very big problem. Making their bombs and their missiles and their high-tech weaponry and their aerospace and all of these things that you need becomes a very difficult thing. Like you said, why would the banks do this? I thought the same thing forever too. And reading the Pickaxe article opened my eyes. Well, there might be the reason. How is it that J.P. Morgan can pay a $920 million fine, the largest fine ever levied on a commodity company or a commodity complex trade, or just the largest fine the Justice Department ever gave out to anything related to commodities, where they're still allowed to run the world's largest silver trust, where they paid a $920 million fine, and that same year their metals desk made $1 billion. They walk away $80 million up. How is it that you can find that level of corruption and they still say, yeah, sure, go ahead, you can run the world's largest silver trust? It's almost as if, and I don't care about these very short jail sentences that Michael Nowak, their head trader, and a couple other guys have received. They were brought up on RICO charges, and the RICO charges were dismissed in favor of spoofing, which is a nothing. But the bottom line is that, ask yourself that question. Why would a bank like Bank of America be short 1 billion ounces, according to Ted Butler? Why would J.P. Morgan have been short all of those years, paying that fine, and at the same time, according to Ted Butler, amassing over 1.5 billion ounces of physical silver and 45 million ounces of gold?
In today's eye-opening discussion, Andy Schectman has given us valuable insights into the intricate dynamics of the global economy, highlighting the potential triggers for a significant financial shift. From the alarming speed of debt acceleration to the strategic moves of BRICS nations and the looming risks to the dollar. Schectman's analysis offers a unique perspective. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments below.